There we go. Yeah, so this is technically me in the future of this day, because earlier I was in Poughkeepsie and went to Determined. That's a gym over there, and let's just say I thrashed my back. Shit. Yeah, usually I'm saying what the workout is gonna be, but now I can actually say what the workout already was. So it was, I'm talking 3 heavy sets of pull downs, followed by 3 lighter squeezing sets of straight bar cable row, followed by 1 more nasty kind of set of pull downs with a neutral grip handle instead of, the regular kind of straight bar. And really that all added up. I was getting into it with a lot of guys at I really kind of want to say the expo at the New York Grand Prix bodybuilding show that was over there, and this was the 25th anniversary of it, which was really cool. But no, so we got to go there. They had the actual show on the stage side of the auditorium, and then the rest of the area was different booths and things, and I got to stand at a table, get to meet everybody. And one thing that actually kind of relates to what I was just saying there, explaining the workout, was, and this is something I did in a little Q&A too, it's like, what do I do, almost? It's like there's a million different movements, there's a million different ways to do the movements, because you can do a pull down, you can do a row, you can do a dumbbell row, you can do a barbell row, you could do a pullover, you could do any combination of the 3 or whatever. And then you can also do, for every one of those individual movements, a light squeezing set, a really heavy hard set, a drop set, a pre-exhausting set, a rest pause set. I mean, you pick 5 movements and you pick 5 different styles of sets. Every choice you make of what kind of set to do, you now have 25 different options, right? And sometimes too many options, too many choices, too much of a broad approach to anything is going to lead to indecision. It's like, what the hell do I do? It's the illusion of choice, because now there's so many different things, it halts you. So what I was kind of describing to a couple of guys, we basically kind of a group, we were getting into it. It was like, all right, well, what really makes a good workout? Like, what really describes a lift where I can say, that was good, I stand behind this. If I did this workout, I mean, really, just as subjectively as if I did this workout again, I'd be happy about it. I want to do it again, or at least a version, or like an iteration, or whatever. So for me, at least, I've gotten to the point where, on average, I'm probably doing about 8 sets per workout. This back day that we'll show you later was 7. It's usually about 8. I'm not really going over 8 sets right now. But also, that's not a number where I'm saying that's the perfect number. I'm saying, for me, I think I get really effective work done with 8 sets, and I make them hard. If someone told me I could only do 1 set and then I had to leave, well, I'd make that 1 set extra crazy, because I know I've only got the 1. So it's like this inverse relationship. If I did 25 sets, the sets wouldn't be as intense. If I only did 3, I'd make sure those 3 were as crazy with intensifiers as possible. So around that 8 mark is nice, because it's like usually at least 60-70% straight sets, plain, pick a weight, do it as many times as you can, hit failure, put it down, right, like that. And then the other 30%-ish, that's where you throw a superset in, or maybe, and by superset I mean like the same muscle. So I'll do a heavy dumbbell curl, and then maybe some cable curls, kind of quick, lighter weight, or maybe some cable flies as a pre-exhaustion, and then do some machine press. So now it's like I got my chest a little tired with some light squeezing flies. Now I'm gonna wreck it with some pressing, just now making the pressing harder, because I've weakened myself from before. And I think that's a good ratio, right? Probably for every 1 superset, there should be about 3 regular straight working sets to get behind it. Because as much as it is super, it's not magical. I think that's a good ratio of just solid work with a little extra work, right? I don't think every set has to be assisted reps, beyond failure, triple drop set, but some do, when it works. But if that's the ratio, for me, and so other guys have different numbers. You know, you might have for you it's like, I got to do 10 sets. That's what's going down today. 10 sets of chest. My number used to be 11. I've gone through phases. It used to be 25, 5 different movements, 5 sets each, and then I brought it down to 11. So 11 was my number. No matter what, I was going to do 11, and then I brought it down to 8, and then I got to the point where it's like, if I feel like I'm done at 6, and I really brought it, well, then I can be done at 6, you know. But that's a later stage. Like, that was my volume evolution. So now that I'm at kind of around that range, let's just keep it at 8. Let's say 8. So if you get a chest day, and I think if you really bring it, you should have gotten enough work done in those 8 sets to adequately stimulate growth or stimulation or whatever. What kind of sets do you do, right? Let's pinpoint this down to chest or back or anything. So usually, if I want to have a good workout, it's going to be, you know, it's going to hit a few boxes. It's going to have decently heavy sets, at least a few, because, you know, mass moves mass. Mechanical tension is the number one, inducer of hypertrophy, of muscle growing. I'm not going to sit here and do a curl with no weight and ever think I'm going to grow my biceps. Right? So weight has to come into play, and if you take that to its extreme, heavy weight has to come into play. So I want to do a few good basic heavy sets. That's what you call a compound lift. That's a bench, that's a heavy row, that's a heavy curl, you know, sort of things like that. And after that, let's say we're doing a back day, I just did 3 heavy sets of pull downs. Basically, you know, to failure. As much as I can, barely getting, you know, what's the word I'm thinking? Partial reps at the end, right? So that's good. That's a good set. So now I'm going to translate, or I'm going to move on and do something a little lighter and squeezing. I've hit the muscle group I'm aiming for, so now I can, you know, it's like you're basically making a sculpture. You know what I'm saying? You're going to start with the sledgehammer and break off the big pieces. Then you're going to get out the chisel for a little more detailed work. Right? This is just a metaphor, but I think it kind of lines up. So after some heavy sets of pull downs, 3 good heavy ones, well, now I'm going to do lighter squeezing sets of rows. Good form, no swinging really, and get a good deep burn and squeeze. The squeeze is the hard part, because rather than just squeeze enough to lift the weight, I get to the top of the range of motion and I squeeze extra hard. So it's like you're doing leg extensions. You could do it and get your leg all the way straight, but then you bring it a little and just squeeze extra hard. That's going to improve the quality of the set. I mean, there's a percentage of improvement for sure, but it's going to improve it a lot, I say. So now I've done a few heavy ones, I've done a few light squeezing ones. Now, at the end, as long as I've checked off those 2 boxes, the box I'm really trying to check off is get pumped, right? Get fully pumped. So whether I think that a heavy set is in order to do that, or whether I think another light squeezing set is in order, or a super set is in order, then that's what I'll finish with. And today, what I decided to do is go back to a neutral grip pull down with some assisted reps and just really bring it. You know, it's the last set of the workout. You've got no reason to leave anything in the tank. And you never should leave anything in the tank anyway, but when it's the last set, it's the easiest to get that mentality. And then you're good, you know? So it's not as simple as that, of course, but if you can, you know, try to wrap your head around what kind of framework and like skeleton of a workout that you do, well, then it's going to make it easier for you to kind of move the pieces around depending on the day. Maybe all the pull-down machines are taken, and it's like taken by a group of guys where they're pissed that you're even in their gym and they don't want you around, and they're going to say, dude, get away from us, you know, or whatever, right? So if that's the case, you're going to have to move on to something else. You know, you're going to have to say, well, everybody's on the pull-downs. What else can I do? And then you say, well, I guess I'll do some of this, or this. You know, you can kind of plug it in. And it just makes you a little bit more versatile as a guy, because you could throw me into a gym and you don't have to tell me what equipment they have. I know I'm going to be able to get a good workout in. Even if it's a little bit subpar or whatever, maybe they don't have all the stuff I would really like. Well, who really cares? You know, I'm still going to go for it. I'm still going to make it happen. It doesn't really matter if things weren't perfectly prepared, right? Because as much as proper preparation will prevent a poor pump, if you're a punk and you need everything to be perfect, and that's the only way that you can go work out, well, that's not cool either, you know. So it's these two kind of contradicting ideas where I think you want to give yourself the best situation for success that you can. You know, I'm talking get a good amount of rest, actually eat all your food, get yourself into a good headspace, like be excited about the gym and your workout. But also, if you're feeling off, if things aren't going your way, you've got to be able to thug it out and still bring it, even when, you know, the odds are kind of against you. Because you've got to have that, I don't think it's crazy to say grit, to not be thrown off of your goals just because it got a little tricky or it got a little hard or you didn't exactly know you're going to be able to do it. Because, I mean, it's so classic of every story of anybody who's made any crazy shit happen is they went for it even when the future wasn't super clear and it was a little obscured, but they knew, you know, if you're a weathered sailor, you're not worried about the waves that are going to come, right? You don't know how big they could be, but you know you're going to be able to handle it internally, right? You've got that sort of belief system. But for the most part, that's pretty much all I got. That was an awesome New York trip for sure. I'm definitely coming back to the New York, to the Grand Prix next year. So if you were, let's say if you're a Poughkeepsie resident, a town that I don't think a ton of people have heard of, well, guess what? I'll be back for you. I can 97% sure guarantee it, you know. But yeah, I think that'll be all. So let's jump into the gym, go lift some freaking weights. All right, let's keep it basic with some pull downs to start. Heavy, but not too heavy. This is only 260 pounds instead of the 300 at the pull down back home. And you know what? Sometimes less is more, man. You know, I know I'm not going to rip my lat off. I mean, I never think I am, but you get what I'm saying. Okay, let's row something now. The stack for this row is too much. About 25% less than the full stack. So it's more of a light squeezing row than it is a heavy, nasty one. Still good, but it's just different. One more. Ooh, yeah, that's good. Okay, I lied. Actually, one more of those. So these are a little, well, these are very different than a conventional row because my elbows are way up here. So I'm squeezing mid-back traps. Honestly, my lats aren't getting that much work at all. That's where this is a good back and forth. Pull downs, highly lat focused, and then doing an elbows flared row, almost exclusively mid-back. So even with just these 2 sets, I've already hit my whole back. One more and then we'll see what to finish with. Whoa. Whoa, where's the assisted reps? Here, I want some assisted reps. So I honestly, with this weight, I can probably do like 7. And let's just do like 10 assisted reps. Like a dirty amount, because this is my last one. Yeah. Let's go. Okay, that's good. Oh, that's enough. That's enough of that. That's all done. All right, there we go. Yeah, we're holy shit. I don't know if it's just this shirt because it's kind of like a light fabric, because if it's a light color and it's a very drapey shirt, for one, it's going to really conform to like, traps or whatever, but also it's going to leave little shadows. So every little part of detail you might have will be revealed through the shirt because it's just the difference between light and dark is so apparent. But no, let's just say I'm feeling fucking wide there. Let's actually see how we're looking. Oh, so yeah, yesterday was fucking awesome. So I just spent really all Saturday hanging around at the Grand Prix in Poughkeepsie bodybuilding show, and I tell you something, the turnout was insanity. Usually there's a certain density of crowd and people and whoever who show up to these things, and I'm telling you, per square foot, the hype was at least close to top tier that I've ever seen. So no, that got me amped up for today. We got a couple of actual competitors in here lifting, they're hitting some legs. I mean, shit, I did not work out the day after my first show, that's for sure. And these guys have been around. But let's run through something. I'm trying. Oh my goodness. But no, that was fun. So of course, traveling, I'm not going to do an Uber car talk. That's what it's supposed to do, camera vlog style. But no, awesome lift. Back to Ohio later, and we can get back to our regularly scheduled dieting. But little things like this, actually really big things like this, or you get to come out, meet everybody. They're showing me this before and after, And I mean, this is a really spoiled situation for me in terms of hype and excitement and motivation, because I've been pumping these videos out for so long that people have started working out, made substantial gains, and then whenever I get to show up, you know, just all over the country, all over, I can't say all over the world. The UK doesn't count as the whole world, but they get to show me these before and afters. And part of the reason they got into it was because they were watching some of my videos to get amped up. So it's this full circle motivation where when I hear that, that makes me extra excited. So it's, oh my gosh, it's great. But I think nothing else to say. I got a short plane ride to catch and go eat some food. So I'll see you tomorrow.